So I've been getting into fermenting these days, and I've done hot sauces, I've done sauerkraut, a couple of other things. Today I'm going to do a batch of sauerkraut. It's so easy, and my wife is going to take it to her grandma when it's done. So I'm going to show you how I do this, so thanks for joining. See you in just a minute. All right, so here is our cabbage. This is a nice organic head of cabbage from the farmer's market. So the first thing we're going to do is peel off a couple of leaves, some of the outside leaves. We're just going to put those to the side, and we're going to end up using a little bit of one. You want to make sure everything is clean, so we're going to end up using glass jars and bowls. You don't have to do anything crazy with cleaning them. I don't use any kind of bleach or anything, just standard dishwater, get everything clean. Just gonna cut this cabbage in half, and we'll probably end up using close to this whole head. Here we go. And now we're gonna quarter it. All right, and now I'm just going to cut the core out of each quarter. You can certainly put the core in your kraut. I saw one person say it's a game at home. The kids try to find the core. I think that's maybe old school. Okay. So from here, we're just going to slice our cabbage. You can do it any way you like. If you like really thin strips, that's fine. However you want to do it. I certainly wouldn't get out a food processor or anything. You don't have to be that exact about it. So what I do is I just turn the cabbage one way and just do some reasonably thin slices. And then you can go from there. I've got this metal bowl that I'm just going to put everything in. If you have some bigger leaves in there, I don't think it matters. If you want to be uniform, you do you. So I'm going to get the rest of this cabbage cut up and put into this bowl, and we will bring you back and show you what we do from there. All right, so here's our bowl full of cabbage. And there's nothing in this, no water, no nothing except for the cabbage. But we're gonna add some salt to it now. And I like to use large sea salt crystals. You want pure salt, no iodine or anything like that. So I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons of this salt and just sprinkle it on top. And we're just going to let that sit. I like to let it sit maybe 30 minutes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start to go to the next step. So see you in 30 minutes. All right, so we're back. Here's our bowl full of salted cabbage. I have a kraut pounder. You certainly don't have to have a kraut pounder, but use something with a little bit of heft to it. You know, if you have a French rolling pin or a potato masher, or even just a wooden spoon, meat tenderizer, maybe straight up and down, something like that. And you just want to pound your cabbage. And the combination of working the cabbage like this and this salt is going to start driving the moisture out of this, which is what you want. Now we're going to end up using everything in this bowl, moisture included. But this is the first step. So this is really just a method of preserving the cabbage. It's really good for you. Lots of probiotics. I don't know all the science behind that. And if you like sauerkraut, it tastes great. So we're just gonna keep doing this. I'll show you the final product, and we will go from there. This will probably take 5 to 10 minutes. So we're just gonna keep going like this, and we'll bring you back. All right, so here's our pounded kraut. I probably could have gone a little more on this. I probably did it, I don't know, 6 or 8 minutes. But again, you'll just start to see it break down. You'll make a little bit of a mess. That's all normal. So there we go. I put gloves on, which you don't have to do, but I washed my hands with the gloves on. Just want to be careful. So we're creating an environment that is good and healthy for lactobacillus bacteria, which is what the type of fermenting we're doing, and a unhealthy environment for bad bacteria. I'm no expert at all. I'm just spouting off what I have learned and read. But what we're going to do is we're going to start putting our cabbage into the jar. And again, you'll make a mess. I don't worry about the stuff that falls out. I'll rarely pick it up because we're going to have plenty of cabbage as it is for this batch of kraut. So after I get kind of the bottom filled, I will then grab my kraut pounder. And if you have a canning funnel, which we do somewhere, this certainly would help. But after you get it in, just give it a pound. Press it down and then keep filling. And you can just feel how much of the cabbage's water has released as you pick this up. And then after you get another good layer in there, and again, you don't have to have a kraut pounder for this. Just find something that is clean that you can use to mash down. And if you see, you're actually able to create a lot of space. And you just want to pack it tight. And you want this moisture to make it in to the jar. Oh, by the way, let's talk about the salt. So what I found is a tablespoon of pure, coarse sea salt per quart. So I put 2 in because I'm doing a half gallon. Now, what you want is a 2 to 3% salt brine solution in order to create your positive environment. You could certainly weigh it out and probably should. I've just found that a tablespoon per quart is a good number for when I ferment. But if you want to get a scale, weigh it out and do 2 to 3%. Salt. And we're going to keep and I am down to the last of my cabbage. So other than what I have dropped on the cutting board here, sorry I'm covering up the camera, I know. Right now I'm getting that liquid and the rest of the cabbage in the jar. So all of the liquid is going in, and there we go. You do need a little headspace at the top, so you don't want to fill too much, but once I compress this, it's going to be about the perfect amount. That's why I'm doing a half gallon for a whole head of cabbage. It just ends up working out well. So the trick is here, you really want to keep everything out of any kind of air. You want the liquid to cover your cabbage. That's why we press it down. All right, there we go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of those leaves that we pulled off the outside. By the way, that cabbage was clean. And we're going to use that to sort of cover all of the kraut. You don't have to do this, but anytime you see somebody doing sauerkraut, They almost always use one of the outside leaves to cover everything and keep it below the water level. Perfect. That's looking great so far. All right, last thing we're gonna do is I've got a little weight here. This is specifically for fermenting. I'm gonna put it in the top of the jar, push it down until that liquid comes over it. Just make sure I don't have any big floaty pieces. That will potentially grow mold. And then I have a pickle pipe here. Now let's talk about this. These will allow the carbon dioxide, which is a natural byproduct of the fermenting, it will allow the carbon dioxide to escape, but won't let oxygen in. So I use these. Now there are other types. There are like airlock seals like brewers use for brewing beer. You can also just use a regular lid and burp it every day. You don't want to screw anything on super tight, especially if you can't burp it every day, because you're going to create a little fermentation bomb if you do. So we're going to screw this lid on. And this is, you can put this anywhere room temperature. I like to put it in a pantry that we have. It's, you know, high 60s, 68, 70 degrees, which is a perfect environment for fermenting. And 2 to 3 days minimum, I've found. My sweet spot, and I just found this out the other day, was 6 to 7 days. I had a really nice batch. It had a perfect level of fermentation. The flavor was great. And you don't do anything to this for about a week unless you need to burp it. I don't, so I'm going to forget about this for a week essentially. Now it will potentially create moisture coming out through the lid, especially if you have a lid like mine. So you want to put it in a little dish or something like that, so when moisture escapes, it has a place to go. But other than that, you just let this sit now for, in my case, I'm going to go just under a week because of what we're going to do with this batch of sauerkraut. And that's going to be it. So we'll bring you back in 6 days, actually. We'll take a look at this, we'll try it, and we'll see how we did. Thanks for joining. Okay, here we are 6 days later. Good things are happening. Notice the pickle pipe is expanded. It's kind of blown up. That's the CO2, which is a great sign for fermentation inside. Hopefully everything's good inside. I have not touched this. And how long you let it go is sort of up to you. I think the first batch of kraut I did, I only let go 3 or 4 days. I've heard of people letting it go weeks. You can definitely get in and taste it. This matches exactly what I did with my last batch, which I really liked, which is still in the fridge. I'm actually doing this for somebody else. So if I squeeze this, it's gonna expel. So we're just going to unscrew this and take a look. And no mold at all. Looks very healthy. So I have just washed my hands, by the way, so I'm going to reach in and pull this weight out, and I'm going to go ahead and grab that piece of cabbage we used to weigh everything down. I can already tell this is great. I can smell it. It smells great. Look at those bubbles. That's all from the fermentation. Again, the lactobacillus bacteria, good bacteria, and an environment that doesn't let that bad bacteria fester. So I'm going to taste this right here, and then I've just got a lid we're going to put on it. That's great. Perfect saltiness. Still crunchy, by the way. That salt helps with that crunchiness. And perfectly sour. Again, I could have let this go. This was pretty healthy in here. I could have let it go another week or 2 if I wanted to, or more. I hope you can hear the obnoxious crunching. So if you haven't gotten into fermenting, I definitely recommend it. It's pretty fun. I've gotten some good hot sauces and byproducts of those hot sauces. And I'll do a hot sauce fermentation video here sometime. But for now, thanks for joining a BuQeye BBQ. Give your fermentation a try. Definitely recommend it. I'm going to get the cap on this. This will go into the fridge and it will essentially slow, if not stop, the fermentation. The cold air in the fridge will do that. And this is good to go. Home fermented sauerkraut, everybody. Give it a try. We'll see you next time at BuQeye BBQ.